Hello, Twitch. How are we doing today? My name is James Spencer. I'm a partner solutions architect here at AWS, one of your producers and your partner. If you've been on this show before, if you've been watching us before, you've probably seen my face. With me today is one of our brand new hosts, Miss Rachel Pothen. How are you doing today, Rachel?
I'm doing great, James. Hello, everyone. My name is Rachel Pothen, and I'm a partner solutions architect here at AWS.
Nice, cool. Where are you? Are you in Seattle right now, Rachel?
Yes, I am in Seattle. What about you, James?
I'm actually visiting California at the moment. I was supposed to get my braces off,
Ah,
but they canceled on me. So it looks like I have another month of this thing.
oopsie.
So anyway, so who's joining us today, Rachel? I heard something about machine learning in video games. Do you know anything about that?
Oh, yes. Today we have our partner Alteryx, which is a leading analytics automation platform. And today they're going to talk us through their machine learning product and they're going to tell us how they use it to predict whether or not we are going to win our next League of Legends game.
League, wow, that's pretty cool. So I
Oh,
guess let's go ahead and bring them on. Let's bring on Alex and Christina. How are you doing today? How's everything going?
We are
Doing well.
great. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, no, thank you for coming. So what do you all do there? I see sales engineer and technology solutions marketing. I like that title.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess I can start. So that title basically means that I think about big picture solutions. So instead of just focusing on one specific product or one specific step of the analytics stack, I actually think about how you can combine multiple products and solutions together, including our best in class partners like AWS, to solve a business problem. So really just educating on what it means to combine multiple solutions together.
Okay, that's cool. That reminds me of like a lot of what a lot of people do with AWS. There's a lot of services, independently that you can't do too much, but when you put them together, you build this huge, massive cloud thing.
Yeah, a massive cloud thing. I like that too.
How about you, Christina?
Yeah, so I'm a solutions engineer at Alteryx or sales engineer. So I work with all of our clients to come up with use cases and brainstorm how we can use Alteryx to automate their current processes and how Alteryx can really transform their analytics space.
Nice. Yeah, and then Rachel told me that we're gonna do some no code. I heard it was no code, which is nice because I suck at coding. So
It's so nice, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, no code, code friendly. So whether you want to use Python or if you've never written SQL in your life, Alteryx will do it for you. It doesn't care.
it's not AWS without Python. That's my slogan, me and my buddy's slogan. Cool. So, do you want to get started, or I can add your screen to the stream if you'd like?
Yeah, if you give me just a minute, we do have a few slides that we'll run through really quickly. I think we want to spend the bulk of the time on the awesome demo that Christina has put together, but I will give you a quick preview of what exactly we will be looking at.
Sure.
Give me just a quick second.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Take your time. No one's going anywhere. We got a captive audience.
We're here for a bit. Yeah.
I paid
All
them
right,
at the
let's
door
see.
to lock them in. Do you play, any of you play video games frequently? I try to dabble when I have time. I'm a dabbler, I guess.
Christina,
Right.
you want to take that one?
I was a League of Legends player back in the day, so I haven't touched it in a little bit, but yeah, it took up a very large chunk of my life. So
You came out.
I came out the other
unscathed.
side alive. So
All right, James, I think I'm ready to go.
Yeah, cool. Let me move you up here too. All right. Cool.
All right, are you looking at what I'm looking at?
Yeah.
Okay.
Data analytics is a multiplayer game.
Yeah, so prepare yourselves for quite a few gaming analogies here because we can't help ourselves. But yeah, so I guess that's really what I like to start with because that's how I like to think about it at Alteryx, right? I think in a lot of organizations we think about data as being reserved for just a couple of departments or more technical roles like IT, data engineering. But in reality, everyone in an organization works with data, whether it's more upstream from transforming the data and working with it to building machine learning models, all the way through to being the end consumer of the insights, right, to make decisions. So you might think you don't have enough technical talent to accomplish more with your data. But the truth is really that data use cases aren't reserved for just a few in the company. Everyone's involved. So that's why we call it a multiplayer game in this scenario. So if you think about your analytics stack, I'm sure many of you in the audience watching this might be wondering, does my analytics stack at my company empower everyone to work together? And in a lot of cases, the answer is no, right? There's a disconnect where a lot of organizations make the mistake of adopting a lot of modern analytics tools without considering the range of technical and non-technical employees who will actually be using those tools. So there's often, that disconnect between the people with the technical coding skills, like Python, and those who are actually experts on the business. Just as you might be an expert on your own gaming performance when you're playing League of Legends, you're the one who knows the data best, and you should be empowered to work with it, regardless of your technical skill set. All right, so Alteryx actually solves this disconnect. We help you get more analytics use cases and really unlock that across the enterprise. And you make it easier for your entire workforce to leverage cloud for data analytics and collaborate on every step of the analytics stack from start to finish. So I mentioned in my role that that's what I think about when it comes to our partners is how do you think about every stage, not just one particular point. And so Alteryx empowers all employees to participate in the analytics and decision intelligence process, regardless of job role, skill level, or department. And we're a self service end to end platform. So you can see a quick visual of our product portfolio here. We do cover the full stack from ingesting data all the way through to prepping it, analyzing it, and generating insights. So the two products that we will focus on for our demo today are Designer and Machine Learning. I'll very quickly walk you through Designer. We'll dive into it more during the actual demo. But what's important for you to know is that Designer is really the foundation of our platform. It's the leading solution for data prep, transformation, analytics, and it's got a really intuitive interface with over 300 drag and drop building blocks that you can use to create your workflow. It allows for a lot of creative problem solving, experimentation. I mentioned earlier that you can use code, you cannot use code. Designer allows for you to build the workflow that makes the most sense for you. And that's what I mean when I say that we solve that disconnect and unify the technical and the business experts. We also have Alteryx machine learning. So in the same way that Designer makes data transformation more intuitive, Alteryx machine learning does that for building machine learning models. Now that's a really intimidating thing for someone like me, for example. I don't know how to code. And if I'm thinking about building a machine learning model, I wouldn't know where to start. But Alteryx machine learning actually takes you through that. So we have education mode. I always like to say that Alteryx isn't just a powerful platform for working with data, it's also a powerful platform for educating people on how to work with data. And Christina will show you a few of those features in her demo.
Yeah, I always whenever you hear people like, "Oh, I don't want to give my data," I'm kind of the other way around. Like, I don't care if people want my data because I don't understand what people would do with it. I'm not that exciting. Like, so that education thing would be pretty good for me. And then maybe I'll go, "Oh, that's why they want to know what my eye color is and weird stuff,
What your mother's
Exactly.
maiden name is, yeah.
Oh yeah, well I know that one. I'm not that naive. So
Yeah. So I guess I'll quickly wrap up the slides here with talking about what this means for AWS, because I know a lot of you in the audience, you're familiar with AWS. Your organization probably uses it for your infrastructure, and so I have boiled it down big time here, where I say that we're a legendary pairing, right? We're super powerful together. AWS gives you incredibly powerful cloud resources. So you have all the benefits of cloud. You have the scalability, you've got the flexibility, and with Alteryx, it makes it easier for more employees to utilize those cloud resources. So if you have Redshift, for example, and you want to make sure that more people can utilize the data in Redshift, Alteryx makes it so easy for more departments to go in and work with the data that's housed in Redshift. So that's why I say together, AWS and Alteryx enable every team to utilize the cloud for data analytics.
nice.
So here's a really quick snapshot of what that could look like. You saw that we have quite a range of products here and really across environments. So we're really flexible, as I know AWS is as well. So we integrate with AWS in a lot of ways. Each of our products, you can utilize data that's housed in AWS services. Whether you're using Designer Cloud, Designer Desktop, machine learning, it all works together. And what Christina is actually going to show you in her demo is how you can combine different environments together.
Awesome. So it looks like
To the fun part.
Yeah. You can use other like not just AWS services, which is great, but other like third party, like other partners. I saw Snowflake on there as one of them. You can also use those too. Nice.
Yeah, so I know that AWS and Snowflake are popular stacked together because then you have your seamless cloud native analytics stack from start to finish. So I like to include that.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, we like to say that we're pretty data agnostic. So wherever your data lives, and whether it be, Amazon S3, Redshift, Snowflake, you name it, SQL database, files, we can connect to it. So I can show you in the demo too.
Yeah. Speaking of, do you want me to go ahead and switch streams or?
Actually, I have 2 slides that I'm going to go over before we switch over into the stream. I want to make sure everybody in chat, if you have ever played League of Legends before, throw like an emote in there. I'm going to cover a little bit about Alteryx and also talk a little bit about League of Legends, so that if you've never heard of League of Legends or never seen it before, or just have never played it, like we're all kind of starting from the same spot. I have a lot of League of Legends data in there, and I want to make sure everybody's starting with the same basic understanding of what Alteryx or what League of Legends is. So before we get started, this slide covers Alteryx Designer, which is what we're going to be talking about, and then also Alteryx Machine Learning, which is going to be the second portion of the demo. Each of these tools has some like unique properties to them. So Alteryx Designer is going to help us prep and blend our data. We're going to connect to Amazon S3 where the data is hosted. We're going to do some machine learning in there. And then at the end, we're going to go into Alteryx Machine Learning, and that is going to show us some feature importance that will be pretty important for, as Katko said earlier in the chat, get us out of bronze. So go ahead and go to the next slide.
Yeah, so actually, I was talking with Christina earlier when we were thinking about this, and I have never played a League of Legends match in my life. So I told Christina we should probably walk people through. I'm sure many people on Twitch will know what League of Legends is, I'm assuming, but I sure didn't. So I thought we would just give a very brief overview of what exactly the data is that we're working with.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe that's why I'm so bad, is because I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing in the game.
That would be help. Yeah, I feel like that's not optimal. Like maybe you should know what you're doing.
Simple things. Well, to give you guys a kind of a high-level overview, basically League of Legends is an online game where there are 10 champions in the game, and each champion has like a real-life person on the other side of the computer playing that champion. It is a 5 versus 5 game, so you have the blue side and you have the red side. I have the nexus, or the home base, circled in yellow for each of the teams. So blue is on the bottom left, red is on the upper right. The goal of the game is to infiltrate the opponent's base. So if you're blue, you're trying to get into red's base, and you're trying to destroy the nexus. It gets a lot more complicated than that because there's a lot of elements in this game. I'm going to cover just a couple things that we're going to see in the data today. So the first thing is going to be turrets. So outside of the nexus, there's a couple little like shiny things you can see in the base, and each of those things are considered a turret. They do damage to you if you go up to them without any protection, and the goal, like, you have to kill those before you get into the base. So turrets killed is going to be one of our stats that we're going to look at. The next thing we're going to talk about is kills, deaths, and assists. So as you can imagine, while both teams are fighting in the middle to gain advantage, trying to get into each other's bases, you're going to end up having fights with other champions. And every time you kill another champion, you are granted 1 kill for each champion that you kill. If you die to another champion or to a turret or something, you are granted a death. So if you die 3 times, you'll have 3 deaths at the end of the game. If you have 10 kills, you'll have 10 kills at the end of the game. So the third thing is assists. So if you help one of your teammates kill somebody and they get a kill, then you're going to get an assist as well, saying like, hey, I helped out. let's see. The next thing I want to talk about is first blood is going to be another thing that we're going to look at in our data. So if you're the first person, if your team is the first team to kill anybody in the entire game, you get first blood. That just means you get extra experience, you get extra gold, you get a little bonus for doing that first. Next up is elite monsters. So that's kind of everything to do with like the general gameplay. So you're fighting against other champions, you're trying to kill the turrets, you're trying to destroy the base. The plot twist comes in when we have these minions that are in this game. So minions are teeny tiny little dudes that basically line up and go and attack each other or other champions, and they fight in tandem with you throughout the game, essentially. They're very small, they don't give you much gold or experience when you kill them, but still worth killing in order to get like an advantage or a leg up on the other team.
Are they yellow?
They are not yellow. They are actually assigned to whatever color team that they're with. So, oh, minions. I just got that. Wow, that took a second.
Not the right minions.
Oh my goodness.
Sorry.
Okay, Gru. But yeah, so we're gonna also use minion stats in this as well. So how many minions have you killed at a certain point in this game? In addition to team minions, so the ones that kind of follow you along and fight alongside you, there's also what we call neutral minions. And this is where we get into the middle of the map. So the map has 3 lanes in it. So in chat, you've seen some people refer to bot, middle, top. That is basically which lane you're assigned to as a champion. Between those lanes, you can see the top lane is kind of curved around the top there, bottom lane curved around the bottom, and then the middle lane goes right in between the 2 nexuses. In between there is what we call the jungle, and those have a bunch of neutral minions. So if you kill those minions, you get these like random buffs depending on which minion you kill. Neutral monster is typically what we call them. The 2 that we're focusing on, so we have neutral minions as a stat block as well, and then we also have dragon and Rift Herald. Those are elite monsters, and if you look diagonally, kind of crisscross with that middle lane, you see the river, and there's 2 little circles, and in those circles, that's where Rift Herald and dragon spawn, and those are the 2 most powerful neutral minions in the game, or neutral monsters in the game. If you kill those, you have a really, really good advantage, like kind of going into team fights and whatnot. So
This game is so complicated.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving pieces to it.
Like I was good. I was trying to keep track where I was like, okay, turrets, deaths, kills, and then I'm like, okay, jungle, river, buffs, neutral. I'm like,
what you really need to know is kill the opponent, kill their base, and on the way, if you kill some of these neutral minions, you get some cool buffs. So important to look at as well.
I feel like this right here is an example of how someone who's an expert on the data, even if they're not an expert on the coding and analytics part, like this alone just shows why it's helpful to have the person who knows the data, aka the business expert, also be the one to work with the data. So analogy.
Beautiful tie-in. Beautiful tie-in. That was great. Yeah. There's a couple other things that we're going to be mentioning as well, including gold and levels. As you play, you level up. As you kill things, you get gold. So that is all of the stats that we're going to be talking about today. But hopefully you have like a basic understanding of the game. So as we kind of go into some of these stats, it'll be clear like what we're aiming for. Cool. So at this point, we can go ahead and share my screen, and I will go over some Alteryx designer.
Oh wait, we're not just gonna. Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
Alex and I talked about it. We were like, oh, I should just play a game.
There we go.
I don't know. Then you guys can all see me rage quit, so probably not a good choice. Awesome. All right. Well, on my screen, this is Alteryx Designer. This is really where we build out all of the logic behind any analytics that we're doing, any data transformation. Couple things. I'll give you a quick tour. We have our canvas in the center. This is where we're going to build out that logic. I have a bunch of League of Legends data. We're going to take that data, put it into Alteryx, do some transformations. And in order to do those transformations, we're going to be using these tools along the top. As Alex said, there's like, I don't know, over like 200 tools in Alteryx. We won't be using all of them, I promise. But we're going to use a couple of them just to get our data in the right format before we start to do some machine learning. So next up, we have our configuration window. That's over here on the left. As I click on each tool, you'll see that configuration window kind of change to reflect what that tool is supposed to do to our data. And then finally, at the bottom, we have our results window, and that's where we're going to see all of our League of Legends data at any point in time as we kind of go through and do these transformations. So let me switch over to this how to win League of Legends workflow. I have a workflow built out. We're going to walk through it. We're going to build a machine learning program together with absolutely no code, which is my favorite kind of machine learning algorithm.
Mine too.
So yeah, for sure. All right. So the first thing that you'll want to do in Alteryx when you get started is input data. And right here, I have a Amazon S3 download tool. So this is the tool that we'll use to take data from our S3 bucket and pull it into Alteryx. You can see I have a couple of these tools on the canvas here. Each of those represents a set of logic that will change our data. So let's take a look. We have our bucket name and our object name from Amazon S3. If you guys are familiar with that, you're on the AWS stream, so I hope you are. If our data lives anywhere else, we can use this input data. And we like to brag that we're pretty data agnostic. So wherever your data lives, whether it be in like a JSON file, Excel, CSV, anything like that, we can connect to that. We also have a long list of data sources. So if it's living in Oracle or Salesforce or Workday, we can connect to any of those. So very flexible on where we can connect to data. The nice thing is, I mean, you can kind of think of Alteryx sitting really anywhere in your data processing like space. So right here, we're pulling from an S3 bucket, but really you could, you know, pull from Snowflake or pull from a CSV and then publish up into an S3 bucket as well. So you can have your S3 kind of sitting on either end of your workflow. All right, I'm going to delete that tool because we don't need him. Let's go ahead and take a look at our data. So I've just clicked on the right side of our input tool and I have already ran this. So my data is populated on the bottom here. We have lots of stats here. We kind of covered what most of these are, but just to kind of take a look, I have a row for each game ID that has been played. So I have like 9,800 League of Legends games in here, and I have stats for both the blue team, whether the blue team won or not, how many wards they placed, did they get first blood? We talked about that a little bit. Our KDA, kills, deaths, assists. We have some elite monsters, dragons, Rift Herald. I'm going to scroll all the way to the right here. And you can see we start to get into red team. And this is basically all the same stats, but just for the red side of things. What I want to do for our machine learning algorithm is I want to build a data set that we can feed into it to train our model. And how I want to do that is I want to take all of this game data, regardless of whether we're on blue team or red team. And I want to stack all of these on top of each other. So regardless of whether you're blue or red, it will have your stats, how many gold you made, how many monsters you killed, and whether you won or not. So I split my data into two streams. The top one is for blue, the bottom one is for red. And then using this union tool, I've put it back together. So now you can see I have double the amount of data. Before this, I had 9,879 games played. And now after this union tool, I have that times 2. The nice thing about this is even though we now have duplicate game IDs, we have more training data for our machine learning model. So that's kind of where that comes into play. And I'm kind of talking about this data prep and blend, but if we kind of look at the big picture here of all of these tools that I have here, basically what we've done is we built a structure of logic in Alteryx. So now every time I play a new League of Legends game and I have another data point to add in here, all I have to do is add that to my S3 bucket and hit the run button in Alteryx, which is up here on the upper right. and it will feed in that new game that I just played and retrain my model with that new data. So as I develop and hopefully become a better gamer and improve, maybe my machine learning model will reflect that as we start to add more and more training data.
That's what I was going to ask. I was going to say, is this your data? Where did you get this data? Did
So
you
this
play
is not my data.
9,000 games?
No, I did not. Well, okay. Yes, I have played 9,000 games of League of Legends, but you didn't have to call me out like that. No.
My bad. My bad.
You're good. No. I actually got this data from Kaggle. So somebody recorded, I guess, all of their platinum ranked games.
Oh.
And actually, let me talk about this data because that's a good point. This is actually data from the first 10 minutes of this person's every game that this person has played in their ranked platinum games. So this is far greater data than I could ever imagine. I'm very much a bronze player. I'm not platinum. So
It's like
I can only
garbage in,
aspire.
garbage out.
Yeah. You're only as good as your input data. My input data is a bunch of hard
Exactly.
stud bronze stuff. So
Yeah, exactly.
not going
That's
to be very
funny.
useful.
Christina, when you first mentioned bronze earlier, I really thought you were mentioning like the bronze layer of data transformation, right? Like getting data from raw data
That's
to
really
then
funny.
the silver layer, then the gold layer. But I realize it also means your ranking as
You're
a
right.
player.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's another analogy. There we go. I warned
There
you
you
all.
go. Hey, it's like it's all connected.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so like we have this logic all set up. So yeah, next game we play, we can just like feed that right in here and recalculate. Kind of like what James mentioned though. Like, I mean, my next couple games would look a lot worse than this, so I might just like trash this data as we start to add more and more games to it. So maybe we won't do that on stream, but as we move along, we can use other tools to kind of do some of these transformations. Like here, I am changing the outcome of the game from zeros and ones to say win or loss so that it's a little bit more understandable as we start to go through and make these calculations and specify what we're trying to calculate. There's a couple different ways to join data in Alteryx that I wanted to mention. Here we're using a union tool. We also have a join tool, which is very similar to a VLOOKUP. So as you're building out your data process in Alteryx, really, I like to compare it to like Microsoft Excel. Like if you're doing data transformations, copy paste, VLOOKUPs, pivot tables, we have tools in here that reflect those changes that you're making in Excel and your like day-to-day processes that you can build out a workflow to automate essentially. So let me go ahead and scroll to the right. Our data is now totally ready for us to start some machine learning. So let's go ahead and get started with that. In Alteryx, there's a couple ways to do machine learning. Today we're going to be talking about assisted modeling. This is a really nice feature of Alteryx where basically it handholds you through the whole machine learning process. So if you're in chat thinking, oh no, I am totally going to get lost for what is going on here, have no fear. It is boiled down to a 7-step process. It is all drop downs. It's all layman terms. So there will be no complicated math happening on stream, I promise. So I'm going to drag this assisted modeling tool in here and hit run. This will populate our assisted modeling tool and allow us to start doing our step-by-step build a machine learning model.
Oh, nice. Can I ask what is the compute source behind this? Is it EC2s? Is it something Alteryx does, or is it something that we shouldn't talk about? Or
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
it's magic.
Maybe somebody in chat knows. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Alteryx AMP engine.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so it is our engine, and it's really cool. It processes things in parallel instead of sequentially.
Oh yeah, duh.
That's right.
Yeah. Why do you think GPUs were so expensive? Because they could do parallel processing.
All right. Yeah, the loading screen might just take a second because I have like a bunch of windows open here and also streaming. So let's go ahead and hit start building. You can see that this is, okay, I said 7 steps. It's actually only 6 steps. I lied. But yeah, we have 6 steps here for building our machine learning model. Like I said, this is all going to be just like click, super easy Step one is going to be picking what we're trying to predict. So here we're trying to predict the outcome of the game. Alteryx is automatically going to recommend a machine learning method based on our data here. So it's recommending classification. Classification means like yes or no, or here's an example, maybe it's high, medium, or low. Regression would be more like if you're trying to look at the stock price for a particular stock, or measuring a response based on a scale from like 1 to 10. So we're going to be doing classification because we're doing true or false. So let's hit next and continue. Alteryx gives you two options here. You can either do automatic and it will just pick everything that it thinks is appropriate for step 3, 4, 5, and 6. Let's do step by step so we can see kind of the inside of this. So in here, this is selecting the data types. So I'll draw your attention over to the right here where we have a couple column details and also a glossary. This is super helpful if this is your first machine learning algorithm that you've ever built out and you're not really sure like what some of these words mean. We have some definitions here, some details, so you can always like go in and check those. But for our case, we have a bunch of data and it's mostly all numeric, other than a couple things here at the bottom, like did you get first blood or not? Have you killed the dragon? Have you killed the Rift Herald? But other than that, this all looks good. I usually scroll through here just to make sure that everything is reflected as I expect it to be in my data. So hitting next here. This is where it will ask us to clean up any missing values. Missing values can be pretty detrimental to like a machine learning algorithm. So want to make sure that we get rid of those before we actually start processing this data. So our data is all good, so we can move on from that. And then our second to last step is features. So we can see kind of how good these features are at predicting what the outcome of the game is. This will tell us whether, it basically is telling us whether we want to include them or not in our calculation. So apparently Rift Heralds don't have a huge impact on whether we win the game or not. So we can choose whether to exclude that. I can uncheck it and it won't consider that as it's doing its calculation. I'll just leave it checked. We can run with it.
My favorite stats on there are kills and deaths. I think those might be related to the outcome.
Yeah.
Just something tells me.
Just a hunch.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we have step 6 here, which is all of our recommended algorithms that Alteryx is pulling up for us. I'm going to keep all of these checked, and when I hit next, it's going to run all 4 of them on our data, and it's going to tell us how accurate they are. And
That was
while this is running, you as well, we still have that glossary up. So you can see definitions and whatnot.
Yeah, actually, I was going to ask about that. When you were dragging and dropping on the dashboard earlier,
Yeah.
You said there's like 300 something of those. Like, is there a way to like pull up documentation or have like a tooltip or something on the fly that will give me at least a little understanding of what's going on?
Definitely. Actually, that's a great question. And let's circle back to that once I finish this, because I'll actually show you some really easy ways to get started with Alteryx and learn some of the easy tools.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's a great question. Okay, so this finished running. We can see all of our machine learning algorithms over here on the left. I can click on each of these and see our rock chart down here. We can look at an overview with our confusion matrix. And if any of these words don't mean anything to you, don't worry about it. We have a glossary over here on the right, so you can understand like what some of these charts are telling you and what the impact of them are. But overall, it looks like XGBoost is going to be our most accurate machine learning model. So I'm going to check that one. If we wanted to add all of them in, we could check all of them. We're just going to check one today. And I'm going to click this Add Models and Continue to Workflow button. So what this is doing is this is translating all of those decisions that we made and putting them into Alteryx tools. And so once this closes, you'll see on our canvas, we now have a new set of tools added to our workflow. Here we go. Okay, so we have all of these tools. Each of these tools represents one of those steps that we took in building out that model. So let me scroll a little bit to the right. This last tool here, this is our machine learning model all packaged up into one little tool. So that's our XGBoost. We can connect it to the rest of our workflow that I have built out here. And then we can run this and see what that looks like. So let me connect it to here. And then let me circle back to James's question before we go to the very end of this. This will just take a second to load since I've connected that in. I see a question, can we bring in our own models as well? Alteryx does have code-friendly tools. We have an integrated Python Jupyter Notebook tool. So you can bring in like a Python tool, load up your Jupyter Notebook, paste your Python machine learning algorithm in there. Or if you prefer to code in R, we also have an RStudio tool. So those are two options to kind of bring in your own code. So if you are kind of a code person, you can go that route as well.
Nice. And if you're just tuning in, welcome to Howdy Partners, our weekly show we do here at AWS to bring in partners and show off their awesome solutions that they build on AWS. Today, this week, we have Alteryx. They're showing us their no-code machine learning platform they have, Alteryx Designer. And Alex and Christina are joining us right now, and they're showing us how we can step up our game when it comes to League of Legends.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so let's go back to James's question really quick. I'm gonna go to this favorites tab. This is where we have like all of the tools where I use in like 100% of my workflows. So probably 90% of the time I just live in this favorites tab because it has most of everything you need to do some simple transformations on data. When you're first getting started, I recommend starting in this favorites tab. And then James asked, how can you like understand like what tool to use or what each tool does essentially. And if you click on any of these tools, it will pop up with a simple description of what is in there. And you can click on this open example and it will actually pull up a workflow with a bunch of examples of how to use that tool. So if you're trying to get familiar with the formula tool, you can use some of these examples with sample data to take a look at some ways that you can configure this formula tool to do what you're looking for it to do. So here we're just adding a column that says Alteryx sample data to it. Here we're doing an if-else conditional statement for based on the latitude. So lots of examples so you can kind of see how to use each of these tools.
Nice. Yeah, that's definitely helpful so you don't get lost and you're in the middle of everything and you don't know which thing you're looking for. That'll help you out for sure.
Exactly. And actually, if you're getting started from like Excel or other programs, we do have this search functionality on the upper right. So like if you're used to looking for like VLOOKUPs, you can actually type in VLOOKUP here and it will recommend a tool that will have that same functionality. Or if you're looking to import your own machine learning algorithm through R, you can just type R in here, and here is our R tool that will load up in RStudio.
Yeah, Alteryx has, I mentioned earlier, Alteryx isn't just a powerful platform for transforming your data, it's also powerful for education. So we have a lot of educational features baked into both the product itself, so you can literally upskill and up-level as you are using the product in the same way you level up during a League of Legends match. Yeah.
Yes.
Because you're truly learning it as you go in a lot of cases. And we also have online resources. So the Alteryx community is an excellent place to go for everything from our certifications to online learnings and lessons. And it's also just a really vibrant crowd of very passionate Alteryx users that are all excited about helping each other out and solve together. So that's another place to go if you're looking for getting started.
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys haven't been on the Alteryx community, it's a bump in place. It's great. Like I try to go in and answer some of the questions that get posted on community, and usually by the time I log in the morning, there's no more to answer because there's already so much discussion. So
yeah, we have weekly challenges also. So if you want to try out Designer for yourself and solve some problems of your own, you can go on to our community for that. I'll have James post the link here.
Yeah, perfect.
I might have beat you to it.
Love it.
There you go.
Awesome. All right. So kind of coming back to this League of Legends use case, we now have our data cleansing. We have our data coming in from our Amazon S3 bucket of all of our historical games. We're using that in our machine learning algorithm that we built out here in these blue tools to train our model. And then now I've just connected some user input down here to our model. So now when we run this, I'm going to click on this little button. I've actually done this off stream, but I've added a couple questions for our end user. So we're in the middle of our League of Legends match. We hit 10-minute mark. We pause. That's definitely not a functionality in League of Legends, but just bear with me. We pause our League of Legends match, come over here into Alteryx, and we can type in all of the stats that have happened so far in our League of Legends game. So let's say we've placed 6 wards, we've destroyed 9 wards, we have a couple kills, maybe we have a couple deaths, maybe we have like 100,000 gold, and maybe our level is like 6. I'm going to hit finish, and this will run our process, train our model, and put in what I've just typed into this user input and predict what the outcome of our game is going to be.
Someone's asking in chat, is there a CLI option or any availability for CLI?
I am not sure on that question. I don't know, Alex, if you know.
What is that acronym?
I don't know. That's what all the hackers use, right?
Yeah. I honestly don't know what the acronym means either. So.
Oh, command line interface.
Okay, cool.
Sorry,
yeah.
I thought we were.
No, I had no idea.
Yeah, you know when people they're all typing and I'm in, kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like that's yeah, like to your terminal or whatever.
I'm pretty sure the answer is yes to that, but I'd have to like go in and actually confirm. I don't think I've ever actually used that functionality, so.
That's what the hardcore people are like. But is there CLI? Do I have to use a beautiful GUI?
Yeah.
I'm loving the questions.
We won. We are predicted to win. I think it's the 1 million gold that I put in there. I have a feeling. So what I've done in here actually is I've put in like categories and then the winning averages. So if it's blue, that means that you're above average. If it's red, that means you're below average. Well, I guess for deaths, it's better if you're below average. So in that case. So yeah, we have a victory here with 1 million gold.
All right. So that's you're telling me that's how I can win. I just got to go and just get gold.
Right? Apparently, yeah.
Nothing else.
I don't know, 1 million gold in the first 10 minutes, which if you've ever played League of Legends is impossible. But yeah. Once we have this built out, so this functionality lives in Alteryx Designer. So every time we play a game and we want to predict whether we're going to win or lose, we'll come in here and use this interface. If we wanted to automate this, let's say Alex wanted to go in and predict whether she was going to win her next League of Legends game. I would have to send her this workbook so she could run that on her own computer. But the other option is I could actually publish this to what we call Alteryx server, and that's going to automate and scale and share this workflow. So then Alex can go in and run this with her data without needing Alteryx Designer. So let me show you what that looks like. Once we've built this out, all we have to do is save it and publish it to Alteryx Designer. I already have it up. Let me pull it up here. So this is Alteryx server. It's like hosted in a browser. Basically, your IT team will have this on like a machine running in the background. So this will always be up for you to go in and check your League of Legends predictions, no matter what time you're playing. I have a bunch of workflows here. We're going to be looking at this how to win League of Legends. Alteryx server really gives you the ability to, I got to refresh this and sign back in. It gives you the ability to schedule workflows. So if you have like an Excel process you run every morning, you could build a workflow to replicate that and publish it on server and have it run every morning for you. For League of Legends, you could just have it hosted on here. So in the morning when Alex is playing League of Legends at 3 in the morning, she can come in here, click on this How to Win League of Legends, and hit the run button. And this will ask Alex all of these questions about her game. And Alex doesn't have to look at Alteryx Designer or know how to put together any of those tools that we were looking at earlier. So this scales it to kind of the broader organization or broader League of Legends team. If you have a lot of people playing and they want to come in and access your analytics as well.
That's awesome. That is so cool.
And this
Yeah.
is
there- Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, this is what I was talking about when I said we kind of help connect all the different teams together, whether you're the person putting together the workflow or you're the person at the very end of the processing. You don't even touch the workflow. You're just the consumer of the data. Regardless, what you've done is you've taken data that's in AWS and you're able to use that more broadly across the org. And what Christine is showing us here is how even if the person has nothing to do with the actual designer workflow, doesn't touch that part of it. This is a way to keep scaling the insights to the end user.
Yeah, that's great because, like, just you're having like a salesperson being able to just drop their numbers in without having to do even the no code stuff. Like just that's amazing. That's great.
Yeah, for sure. So I just put some like data in here and then hit run. So this will run using the server machine and give me those insights into whether I'm going to win my League of Legends match or not. So, and I see the most recent question is, so how do I win League of Legends? That is a great question, and we're going to answer that using Alteryx Machine Learning, which is our next product that we're going to look in, and that's going to give us some insight into really what drives the predictions for what Alteryx is saying what the outcome of our game is going to be. So we'll dive into that. It will show us feature importance, how related some of these data points are, like is number of minions killed super associated with the amount of experience that you have, things like that. So we'll dive into that. And there we go. All right. Unfortunately, I put in the wrong numbers, so we have a defeat here.
Oh no.
I've seen this screen way too many times though, so it's lost its pain.
You're numb to it.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Well, so far we've talked about Alteryx Designer and Alteryx Server. Any questions in the chat that I've missed so far?
I think we've hit most of them.
Okay.
Someone actually answered earlier about the CLA.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, Alteryx. Maybe you know who that is, but they said that yeah, there's options to exist to utilize the CLI, execute scripts and such. That kind of like McDonald's. Is that your offshoot?
Yeah.
Oh, and I also found a AWS Marketplace link for Alteryx Server. Let me go ahead and drop that.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Just have fun and don't be toxic. That is a tall ask for League of Legends players. Awesome. All right. While James is pasting that in the chat, I'm going to move over into Alteryx Machine Learning. So this is a cloud-based program for Alteryx. Cloud-based platform is what I was going for with that sentence. This is really just focused on machine learning. So this has a lot of controls, a lot of options in here. Again, you'll notice a theme. This is low code, no code. It's all going to be drop downs. We have an education mode in here as well. So if you're not familiar with some of these terms, again, there's a bunch of resources to get started with machine learning. This is actually a fantastic way to start learning machine learning because as you go through this program, you'll get exposed to some of the terminology that a lot of data scientists will use as they're building out their algorithm. So we have, I think this is 7 steps again. Okay, this is where I got the 7 steps from. This one has 7 steps to our machine learning algorithm, starting with problem setup. So this is going to ask a bunch of questions about our data. You can see I've already uploaded our League of Legends data in here. You can either connect to your CSV or you can do this through Alteryx Designer. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. It will ask us very similar questions to what we just saw. We have the outcome is our target variable. We're trying to predict whether that's going to be a win or a loss. And then at the bottom, it's going to ask us what problem type. So here we have 3 options. We have classification, which is that yes, no, maybe option. So which bucket does it fit in? We have regression option, which will be what is the answer on a scale of 1 to 10, scale of 1 to 100. So that will be very dynamic. And then we also have time series. So if you have like finance data over the last like 10 years, you could put that in here and try to predict what the next month is going to look like in finance. Yeah, forecasting, things like that. So we have classification here selected, so I'll go ahead and hit next. This is going to give us a little bit of insights into our data. Here is our correlation matrix, so we can see which columns correlate with other columns. So total minions, you know, it's pretty correlated with average level. The darker the box is, the more like associated it is with that. So it kind of makes sense. Your total experience is going to correlate with your average level pretty highly, because as you gain experience, that implies that you are leveling up. So we got a lot of columns, so this is a very, very big matrix, but I will go ahead and hit next. Here's our model
Christina,
set. Yeah.
real quick, at which point should we ask the audience which factor they think is most important?
I'm so glad that you reminded me. Good point. Let's go back here to data insights. We have a bunch of columns here. And I want to ask chat, like, what feature of our data set do you think is the most important when it comes to winning League of Legends? And this is going to tell us, like, what should we focus on when we get into a League of Legends game so that we win? What feature is going to have Alteryx predict that we're going to win? So put it in the chat. We've got average level, total experience, kills, assists. We got gold, alt management. I mean, that's fair. I don't have a stat for that, though. That's good. Tower damage. Yeah, we've got tower kills in here. Elite monsters. Rift heralds. I mean, we kind of already saw that that was not very well associated with the outcome, so maybe don't put heralds. Kills, that's a good one. Deaths. All right, let's hit next. We'll keep going. We'll get the answer for that in a little bit. We have some distribution of our target variable outcome. So this will tell us how skewed our data is. This is exactly 50-50, because if you remember from the beginning of stream, or if you weren't here, our data contained stats from both the red team and the blue team. And obviously you're going to have one winner, one loser. And so when we stack that data on top of each other, we have all of the losses and then all of the wins. So evenly distributed here. I'll hit next. This is feature engineering. So this is where we can kind of customize this a little bit. If you have data that you want to do some specific calculations on, like some addition, some division, you can engineer some correlations between 2 columns. You can customize really what Alteryx is going to use to calculate. We don't need any of this for what we're working on today, because it's pretty straightforward. Just here's all the buckets that we want to calculate. So I'll just hit next. And then the last step before we figure out what the most important aspect of League of Legends is we get to pick which machine learning model we're going to be using. So this has just run a bunch of models for us, and we can see the score down here. If you're familiar with machine learning, there's a bunch of different ranking metrics that you can use, and you can filter between any of these to see what the leading model is based on each of these ranking metrics. We also have a bunch of features here, but most importantly, we have our available models. So here's where we pick which model we want to use. Our suggested model here is going to be logistic regression model classifier. So I have that selected here in our model. I'll hit next. And this is where we have evaluated our model. So normally that evaluate model button is like blue and we can click that. I've already ran it, so we didn't have to sit here and wait for that to go. This is kind of a cool view here because you can see the pipeline of how it has ran all of our data in here. So if you're familiar with like machine learning, this might be pretty familiar to you. We also have a bunch of like performance details here if you're interested in that. But I think what everybody is interested in right now is our insights, where we can see what the most important feature of League of Legends is. So if you said gold, give yourself a nice pat on the back, throw some emojis in chat because you just won some brownie points.
Really? Wow. So, wow, really? Kills is like. So next time I get flamed in chat for not being like very good at the game, like 1v1 and stuff, I can say, guess what? Kills don't matter. Like, apparently.
It's all about the gold. It's all about the money.
And then, yeah, and then I can like, when, you know, we're flaming each other, I can like just pull up the sheet and be like, look I got
Alteryx
proof.
gold me.
Yeah. I got proof. I earned the most gold, so I was contributing the most, like literally.
I love it. Yeah. That's the perfect excuse.
just to win an internet war.
Yes. Hey, that's what this is all about, right?
That's funny.
I have one more thing to show you guys in Alteryx Machine Learning, which is our simulations. I love this feature of Alteryx Machine Learning because this has so many applications, I feel like. This is where we can go in and simulate what-if scenarios. So this is really when we get into like some really nerdy League of Legends stuff. So we can pick like a random game that we played. So game number 9448. This is going to show us our starting prediction. It's going to run our machine learning model on this game, ignoring what the actual outcome is, and tell us what is predicted based on what happened during that game. So here we got almost 20,000 gold. We got 3 deaths. We didn't kill any elite monsters, and we got a bunch of assists. And we are predicted with a 90% chance to win this game. Using the simulation tab, though, we can actually go in here and adjust this. So like, what if we played this game and actually only got like 15,000 gold? Since we know that's the most important feature, this actually might change our outcome. So let's hit run. This will fill in the simulated prediction value here. And we can see like how big of a difference does it make if we got 4,000 less gold. So I love this feature because it's really fun to go in and just like play around with it. Like, what if I had played a little bit different? Okay, so we're still predicted to win, but with a much like lower confidence, 61% chance of winning.
I could use this also as to help win my internet wars. We have a 90% chance to win. We should have won that.
I love it. Come on, guys.
Yeah. This is cool. This was Alteryx Machine Learning?
Yes, this is Alteryx Machine Learning. This is our cloud product.
Okay.
Yep,
This
so
is
it's
really
part of
cool.
the... Oh, sorry, Rachel, go ahead.
No, I was saying this is really cool. Like, I have been doing machine learning for a while, and I think if I had used this before, it would have saved me a lot of hours.
Yeah,
Music to our ears. That's ROI.
for sure. A minute saved is $1 earned or something like that. I don't know how that saying goes. That's not what it is. It's a penny saved is $1 earned or something like that.
Penny,
It's escaping me.
I digress.
penny saved is a penny earned?
That's what it is.
There we go.
You know, I tried. All right.
I dropped a link for
Oh,
Alteryx
perfect.
Machine Learning also.
Yeah, that's great.
Cool.
That was killer. Thanks, Christina.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, in summary, I mean, we started it in an Amazon S3 bucket. We did some prep and blend using Alteryx Designer. We did some machine learning using Alteryx Intelligence Suite. And then we published up to server. So now Alex can use this for her future League of Legends games to make sure she wins every time. And then lastly, we came in here in Alteryx Machine Learning and figured out that everybody should be focusing on total gold for our League of Legends win victory.
Yeah, I could just imagine the enemy heroes just like walking right past you and just, sorry, we're not going to bother with you.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm just here for the gold.
yeah. Someone asked this question, did you include the dragon buff thing? I don't know what that is, but as one of the stats.
So I do have Dragon in here. If we go back to, oops, sorry, that is in, we were already there. Sorry, Insights. I do have Dragon in here. The number of dragons is what I included in here, but technically
Okay.
in the first 10 minutes of League of Legends, it's impossible to get more than one dragon. Somebody prove me wrong in chat if that's wrong, but I think that's right. So the dragon buff would be included in this number of dragons killed stat here.
Got it. That makes sense. Cloud exploring in chat says some people tend to be less willing to adopt no code or low code solutions. Yeah, unfortunately, sometimes that does seem to be true because just the idea of no code, people have the idea that since it's no code, it's not as powerful and robust. But that might have been true back in the day, but especially nowadays, like everything is so abstracted on top of such powerful stuff. What do you guys think about that?
I love that
Statement?
question. Yeah, I love it. I think, Alteryx is flexible, right? So I mentioned this earlier, but the platform doesn't care how you want to go about doing your business. So if you want to use code, great, bring it on, right? And I think our tools, they're really simple and cute on the surface. They're fun. They look like little building blocks. They've got their cute icons, but they're very powerful underneath the surface, right? You can go in and do, it's like different layers, right? So you can go in and tweak around as much as you want. So it's still, yes, it's no code, but it's also code friendly. And with the no code aspects, even it allows for there's a lot of room for creative experimentation. So Christina could have probably built that workflow in a few different ways, because one of my favorite parts personally about Alteryx is that there are almost infinite pathways to the same outcome. So if you want to build your workflow and taking a different approach from Christina, you're welcome to do that. So there's a ton of flexibility. It's very powerful, and I think that, yeah, I think no code, low code, it gets a bad rap, but Alteryx expands the possibilities. So it's really just a tool for really opening up more ways to do things.
Yeah, and then your coworker Dupe Doggy Dog mentions, just it doesn't have to be no code. It says
Yeah.
he's saying you can add code if you want to, if you need to, if your
Yeah.
use case takes it.
And we even, going back to your question about compute, right? We have options for that as well. You can do a virtual desktop. You can even do in database processing in Redshift. So if you want to leverage Amazon's compute resources, it's easy to do that as well, also without using code. So we have in database tools available in Designer so that if you want to execute pushdown in Redshift, you have options to transform, especially if you're working with huge data sets. You can transform things directly in Redshift.
Nice. Yeah, and I totally forgot to mention this. There's a starter kit. I forgot to drop this one.
There's a
AWS and
lot
Alteryx
of
starter
things to
kit.
drop.
Oh yeah, no, but that's great because these are all like legit good things. Like it's not just random stuff. I'm actually gonna check that out right now. I'm curious. Oops.
Christina, were you surprised to see that gold was the result? Did you have a hypothesis?
Yeah, my money was on deaths for sure.
Yeah, you would think
I was
so.
shocked.
If you never die, then you're probably winning.
Yeah,
I mean,
honestly, that's what I thought too.
We're all winners.
Yes.
oh, cool.
And another cool thing about machine learning, because and Auto Insights for that matter, which is an additional product in our portfolio, you can go in with kind of a preconceived notion of what you're looking for in your data. I think a lot of people make this mistake with data where you kind of have the result in your mind of what you want to get to. And what's cool about leveraging automation like this is it detects the patterns for you. And so it helps uncover the things that you maybe didn't think to look into. And so it's saying, hey, you should look into that. Maybe gold, actually, right? It kind of challenges what you thought the data was going to tell you.
Definitely. Yeah, it starts to ask questions that like maybe you didn't even think about asking it to begin with. Because
Yeah.
I would have gone forward just assuming that deaths was the most important thing.
Yeah, which one was it? Oh, another one. I didn't even think of this one. When we asked earlier what people thought was most important, they mentioned APM, and I don't think there's a way to track that. I don't know if, I mean, maybe you can using an add-on, but I don't know if there's a way to track that in game. But for those of you who don't know, APM is actions per minute, and typically the top players always have like APMs that are through the roof. Some of them artificially inflated though. They just click randomly so that they can keep their APM up, which is a little weird, but that would be an interesting one to throw in there as well.
That's actually so true. Yeah.
Isn't there an in-game APM? I don't know. I haven't played in so long. There might be.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh yeah, there is. If there's a way to track APM and export, yeah, because I know there's add-ons and stuff that would do that kind of stuff for sure.
Oh, maybe we should do like a StarCraft prediction later, since they have one.
Yeah.
Will you win your StarCraft game?
Yeah, I feel like the sky's the limit for predicting gaming performance. So many factors.
Yeah.
Rachel, can you think of another? I'm going to put you on the spot. What would be another use case besides, I love video games, but let's pretend we live in a real, the real world for a second. What would be a good use case? Can you think of one?
I mean, these kind of models are being used for a lot of use cases. Like if you want to predict whether a customer is going to churn or not, whether your customer is going to buy this product or not. So this is definitely a very good way to predict those things. Yeah.
Yeah, we run the gamut, right? Because Alteryx works so well across different departments. We can do everything from predictive maintenance in manufacturing, supply chain optimization, fraud detection, cost optimization. I could go on and on, but we decided to pick a fun one for the demo that we went through today. Just knowing that a lot of folks here on Twitch are likely interested in gaming.
Yeah, it's a perfect for this. And then once everyone leaves, they're like, wait a second, we need to actually. I loved it. I need to pitch this to my boss. How can I sell him on it?
Love to hear it.
Yeah. I really like the real world examples too, because that's, I feel like, really where the simulations come in as well. Like if you're, you're doing forecasting or you're doing churn or things like that, the simulations will really ask the question of like, what if we had done things differently? Like, how would that impact like what the future holds for us? So.
Oh, someone brought up Chat GPT. Yeah, I was waiting for someone to mention that and see how long it took.
Took 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 52 seconds.
Yeah. I feel like this is different. I feel like that generative AI is a lot different than analytics AI. I have this feel. I mean, I'm not an expert in either, but it just feels like it's a different.
Oh, ChatGPT to get the approach for the boss.
Yeah, there you go.
We've got stuff for that too,
how to convince to buy. Yeah.
Wait, you do, Alex? What are you talking about? What else do you have?
Oh, we can help you with the approach.
Oh yeah, perfect.
Christina and I are here for.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that was great. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about or drop real quick? Are you an IG influencer, either of you, or anything like that?
All of my, I don't know, 700 followers.
Oh wow.
More than me. I got like 100. Yeah.
It's probably healthy.
Maybe
I need to be a Twitch influencer now, though. This was my first rodeo here on Howdy Partner. So thank you so much for welcoming us to the corral.
Sure. I'm gonna go make a League of Legends Twitch stream now. So no, just kidding.
Yeah, well, now I'm thinking, should I go play this game? And Christina warned me maybe not.
No.
It's a black hole.
Don't.
Yeah.
I started playing. It's called Dragon Quest Builders 2.
Oh, okay.
And it's a lot of crafting. So I'm not sure how you could analyze that, because it's really just throwing cubes around and building things. But that's more my speed. League of Legends seems very chaotic.
You're getting outed in the chat by
I know.
by Duke Doggy Dog.
Thanks for that.
I've already done my time with this game. I've sunk way too many hours.
We spent a lot of time thinking about it, so
yeah.
It's fun though. I mean, we had a blast putting this together, and it's not a stretch to think about how we can incorporate AWS and Alteryx together, because it just works so well. And it was a pleasure to come up with this. So let's do it again sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to have you. We'd love to have you back on, either to show off new stuff or show off something we didn't get to today, or
Yeah.
Anything you'd like, or just to, come hang out. That's cool with me.
Just come chill. Yeah.
Yeah. Always a good time.
I dropped a survey link. Everyone loves our AWS surveys. I'm sure that's one of the top. We're known for cloud computing and surveys. Please fill it out. We can't get any better if we don't know what we did wrong, or if we did nothing wrong, tell us how great we are. And tell us who else you'd like to see on Howdy Partner. Tell us what you thought of Alex and Christina and Alteryx. Tell us everything. Give us your life story. I mean, it doesn't have to just be a survey.
Give me gossip.
Yeah.
Just spill the tea.
Spill the tea in the AWS survey. Yeah. Let us. You could do like life advice kind of stuff, and just leave your email, and then we can get back to you if we have any good answers.
Love it.
There you go.
Love it.
Right. Rachel, I already put Alex and Christina on the spot. Rachel, is there anything else you want to drop out?
No, just thank you so much. This was very, very educative, Christina and Alex. So thank you so much for doing this.
Cool.
Of course. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it.
Let me pull off this, and then, all right. Well, from Howdy Partner, we'll see you again next week. Next week we are having, I believe it is D2IQ, and it's kind of funny. They're going to show us. It's called DKP, their D2IQ Kubernetes platform. And for you nerds out there, DKP used to be like your dragon killer points back in the MMO days to actually buy stuff. So I thought that was very funny. They were like, we're going to show DKP. And I was like, what? I'm like, okay. Are we doing rating or something? But yeah, please join us again next week. Thank you. And we'll see everyone later. Have a good day, everybody.